Welcome to our session on creating courses, or shall we say becoming a course ninja, where we'll talk about our courses, activities, publishing groups, and more. Our agenda today is to create a basic course, talk about publishing groups, edit the course and add all the rest of the basic information and activities, and then discuss the other tabs that are there. Let's get going on creating a course, but first, a course holds all the content that's used for training through instructor-led classes and self-paced training. I'm trying to do two things at once, and I shouldn't. Forgive me. No, I can just go here and end. I'm a bad girl. And courses have many features available to them, from activities that can be added like labs and videos and assessments and surveys, to settings controlling how and when the course or features within the course display. So let's take a look at creating a basic course. The bare minimum to create a course is what we're looking at here. And if you're using the TMS for scheduling as a scheduling tool for all your classes, you could create courses like this for scheduling classes that don't have labs. The first thing that you must have is a name for the course. And we're going to skip down to only the things that are required. For the organization, this is the organization that owns and manages the course, who can come in and change it and create and edit it. So if you have multiple organizations, you may want to change that to a different organization. Your program is always going to be training. You can set the duration for how long you expect the course to take in terms of days or hours. And training days, you can set here. This is actually for the class when you use the course for a class, and when you get down to session times, it's automatically going to add in whatever you have here in training days. So if I have 5, it's going to set to 5 on the class by default. And you can change that on the class as well if you're going to have more or less sessions for that training. The content provider is a category, and right now it's a required category. Most organizations only have one content provider, and this is used right now in our billing, so it is a required field. We're going to skip down past all of these guys, and let's talk a little bit about available instructor-led and available self-paced. There's 3 things that control whether or not a course is available for scheduling, and these 2 control how it's available to be scheduled. So if you have available instructor-led checked, it will be available for classes to be chosen to schedule classes. If you have available self-paced checked, it'll be available when you're going to set up a course assignment. So you can have either or both checked. And if you actually uncheck both of them, they do a thing with the course that allows it to show as coming soon. So if you have a course catalog going on, you can uncheck both of them because the course is not published yet, and it will show as coming soon on a course catalog or in a subscription as well. Let's see. Let's go ahead and save our course. And right now you can see that I have a find classes and I have a find, but I don't have a create class link. I don't have a create course assignment link either. And I've also got this red message here that this course must be added to a publishing group to be available for use. And publishing groups, if a publishing group isn't added, then it's not available to schedule as instructor-led or as self-paced. And this can be good because it gives you a way to work on your course without anybody else being able to see it and put it into any kind of training situation. And once it is scheduled for a course assignment or it is scheduled for training in a class with an enrollment added to it. Because those become billable items, we have locked down fields. So you want to be able to keep working on your course. You may not want to add a publishing group right away. And we are going to be changing that very soon and opening up all the fields that except those that directly affect billing, like changing lab activities, adding or removing them. So what do publishing groups do? Let's go in here and edit the course and go to not activities, availability. It's the other A word. And you can see right down here, I have a link to add publishing groups. So what do publishing groups do? They manage availability of courses to organizations. And if you're an organization that's creating and using your own courses and not selling courses to anyone else, then all you have to do is select the publishing group with your org name, which will probably be the only one available to you, and move on. So I come in here, I actually have more than one. I'm going to use it as internal and say okay, and it's added on there. Some organizations actually create courses and sell them to other organizations. This allows, having publishing groups, allows them to set up publishing groups with content and assign the organization to the content that they want to have available to them. So it's a way for them to manage who has access to their own courses. Let's click on Save now. Oh, I didn't change my basic information. I still don't have my create class or create course assignment because I need to add both of these. And now with the publishing group and with my training specified, I now have the create class and the create course assignment. Really quickly, I'm going to mention manage resources. After you have saved a course, you can go into manage resources. And this allows you to add resources that are out there, like documents, and you can upload any kind of file like documents, PowerPoints, zip, text, images, and different stuff. So they're all listed there, the things that you can. And once you choose it, you can choose who it is visible to, if it's visible to the students or or to the instructors. And this shows down on the course under the activities, and that allows you to put in different information or documents that you want just to upload directly on the course to have available for any self-paced or instructor-led training that you're going to be offering. So, let's go back over our basic information and talk about the rest of the fields that I skipped over previously. You can add a short name, whatever it might be. It might be a code that aligns to your course or just a shorter name that you all use or an abbreviation. You can put in versions, and we have a way to actually clone a course so that you can set versioning. Description, this is a plain text field, and we also have a text field that's available for formatting, which is the HTML description. They both show right next to each other. Let me show you on the course profile. So this is the plain text field, and then this is the one with HTML formatting. If you actually know how to code and want to get creative, you can add all sorts of coding in on your and images and anything else that you want in here. And they have some basic formatting tools as well. For a class though, you can also see it. This is where the class's description field goes when it's that plain text field. And down here in the middle, we have the HTML field for the class. And I'm gonna collapse the activities, but you can still see the course information on the class as well. So if both are used, you'll see them both. If one is used, you'll only see the one. That's a description. Search keywords, you can input keywords and then use them in Find Courses to find the courses you're looking for. Profile image for the URL. This allows you to add images to the course. all of these blue and green and orangish images are images that were added to the course and then show in a catalog. They also show in a subscription, and you can store your image out wherever you want in a blob or somewhere, and then you'll copy the URL in here and add it to the course. We talked about those. Discussion. A discussion can be added to a course, and when it's added to a course, it is available to anyone who has taken the course as instructor-led training or as a self-paced training. And they can all add and look at the discussions and post to the discussions and talk in them. You can add moderators into discussions so that they can work on making sure the answers are correct and making sure there aren't any posts that are inappropriate. And I'm trying to remember which one I have it on. I think it's this one. So as a student, if I'm looking at a discussion, I'm on my enrollment for a class, I have this link for a discussion. If I'm in a self-paced training, there's a tab for discussion. So you control which topics are out there to be discussed, and then users can add posts and comment on posts and use those for discussions. And let's get back. So those are discussions. Content type here is actually a custom field that Learn on Demand Systems has added. And you can have custom fields on several different items and add them for any kind of information you want to gather or to be able to search from. So if I want to add a custom field, I'm going to come to Site Administration, and I have Course Custom Fields on my Courses tile. I click on that, and I can search for them, or I can create a custom field. We're going to look at creating one really quickly. Your name is going to be whatever you want to show for the field name on the course in this case. You can add a description. You can add a tooltip, so when they hover, they'll see it. And you can choose different. We actually have custom fields for not just courses. We have them for classes, for users, for subscription profiles, and also tracks. And we have several different kinds of fields that you can input. So we have a text box, which allows them to input any kind of text they like. Drop-down lists, which are like this one. Well, not really. They have a drop-down list, and you can actually put dependencies within drop-down lists. So if the selections are A, B, C, and the person selects C, you can have it then show D, E, F as selections, and you can keep making dependencies as far out as you want. You can have a single checkbox or a checkbox list like we do in the course. You can have a number field that only takes numbers, and you can have a user selector, so you can add the ability to just look up users and add them. I'm going to use a checkbox, and you also have control over where it displays. So our one in the course is showing in the basic information, and every time you use a custom field, it's going to show underneath all of the regular fields. And then once you are in there, you can sort. If you have multiple, you can add sort order so that each one of yours appear in the sequence that you want them to. So from here, I can add it to basic information or advanced for the course, or I have this other choice, and I can create my own tab for it. Custom fields. And so that'll create a whole new tab that'll have my custom field on it. The last piece is to allow it to cascade down to the class. So from a course, if you add a field, you can choose for it to also show on the class once the class is created from it. Availability sets which organizations will see and use this custom field, and user role restrictions allow you to choose which roles, if everybody sees it, if nothing is selected, or which roles can see the custom field, and also which roles could edit the custom field. When I click save, oops, I'm going to have to refresh, aren't I? And I come back here. If I refresh, we're going to just copy that. Refresh the page. Out here past advanced, I now have a custom fields tab. Oh, it didn't take away my creating a course. And if I hover, I see my text and I have a checkbox that I can use. So it's very easy to create a custom field. And whenever you do create a custom field, you actually also are creating a filter and a filter. It's going to be under custom field, a filter and an output option for them as well, so that you can pull information on that tab. On the output options, they appear at the very bottom underneath everything else. So those are available for you too. Custom fields. Archived and auto archive date are the third piece that can control availability for scheduling. We had the publishing groups, we have the available instructor-led and self-paced, and we also have archived. So archiving allows you to take the course out of circulation, and it does not affect anything that you already have scheduled. If you already have a class scheduled in the future and you're archiving it today, it is not going to change anything about the class you're offering. It does not affect any person with a course assignment and their access to the labs. It does not affect anybody with post-class access for labs. They all have the same access that they have always had. The only thing that it stops is it stops you from being able to create a class with it or create a course assignment with it. You can also choose to set up an auto archive date. And if I know when I'm going to be taking this course out of circulation, I can set that auto archive date so I don't have to come back and think about when I need to do that. The auto archive date does have restrictions attached to it. So once I have set an auto archive date, there are some limitations. So it won't let you schedule classes against it in the future beyond the date that you've set. Show on course catalog allows you to add a course directly to a course catalog, like the course catalog we've been looking at over here. If it is not checked, it will not show on the course catalog. Excuse me. Featured allows you to add a little tag onto or icon onto the course as it shows. And these are all future courses. So I'll come into the now courses. And you can see here I have a featured icon on these. And what it does is it brings all of these courses up to the top, and then everything is shown alphabetically afterwards. And on our featured, you can input a date for when that expires, and it goes back to just being normal. Enabling simple course feedback allows you to get information back on your courses from the users. The way that goes is on the courses tile, we have find course feedback. Whoops, I should show you a course first with course feedback in it. So the course feedback allows you to, shows at the very bottom and allows a user on their enrollment or within their course assignment to give a positive feedback or negative feedback with a sad face, add text in here about it, and then submit it. And then what a person sees when they go and look it up is, I'm going to change those so you can see more information. And you can see when the course feedback was given, you can see which course it was, you can see the title on their and their content of what they've said, whether it was positive or negative, who it was that did it, if it was done from a course assignment or from a class, and if it was connected to a specific activity. So there's a lot of information you can get back from course feedback. It's a helpful thing to have out. Enabling achievements to outside organization. This is only for organizations that are publishing courses that are available to outside organizations. and that are using achievements for badging or any other kind of for badging or just for accomplishing achievements. Allow activity disablement within classes. This allows you to have an instructor give an instructor the ability to disable classes. When that's checked and I come in as an instructor or an ops manager, I have this little checkbox now above my activities that allows me to disable all activities. And I also have single activity enablement over here on the side. So I can choose to enable all of my activities or one at a time. I can come back here and it'll toggle back to being enabled. There we go. So instructors can then control whether or not their students have access to move ahead on an activity. They may be lecturing and not want someone to be working in a lab, so they can disable those activities, or they may have things like assessments that they don't want people to start right away, and they can disable those as well so that the students don't move past where they want them. If I'm a student, what that looks like to me is the activity still shows. I'm on a student enrollment here, and all of my activities are enabled right now. So let's disable the first one and go back to my student. And it takes about 30 seconds or so, sometimes, for the activity to refresh and either show as disabled or become enabled for the student. And it shows here for them as a grayed out activity. They can still see it, but it shows that it's been disabled by the instructor for them. So the student is well aware of when and if they have access to that activity. If you're using the allow activity disablement within classes, you may want to also use allow activities to be auto-enabled after a class ends. And this is here for a fail-safe for your instructors in case they forget to re-enable an activity. And if you hit this, then, or you check this, then after the class ends, it's going to go back and re-enable all the activities that are out there. Let's go look at activities. We have several different types of activities that are available for you. The first one is SCORM, and you can upload and create your own content and upload it as SCORM into our TMS. And once you've created your SCORM modules, you have the ability to add them. So SCORM, if you're not familiar with it, can be like video content that you've created. It can be interactive content or anything else that you really want. And SCORM is just a packaging that the content is wrapped in that allows a learning management system to read it. Coming in and adding a SCORM module, you'll be able to search and see any of the SCORM modules that are available to you in your organization and add it in here. Then you have the ability to set what the duration is, how many hours, how many minutes, say it's 45 minutes, how many seconds. And you can set who the availability belongs to. So it can be to everyone, it can be only to instructors, and this controls if your students are going to see it or not, or only your instructors will have access to this activity. Then we have some checkboxes to fill in, and the required for course completion sets up whether or not this is an activity that must be done in order for the course to show as complete. Within a course assignment, because it's self-paced learning, all of the activities required for course completion must be done in order for the student to automatically show that they've completed the course. Within a class, the instructor actually has to set whether or not the student has completed the class, because there might be extra stuff that they do outside of the activities in the course that they want to include in the completion. But you can also see either the percentage of the course completed on an enrollment on the roster and also on a course assignment, because it builds a progress bar showing how many of the activities that are required have been completed. For SCORM, it automatically does not default to being checked for available instructor-led, and that's because the idea is that maybe you're putting in SCORM in order for self-paced learners to be able to see or hear instructions about the course content. And available self-paced is it's automatically added because we have set both instructor-led and self-paced learning on here. They're both available. You can check them or uncheck them. So I could have the same course that has different activities in it based on whether it's being taught instructor-led or self-paced. And when I check the instructor-led, you'll notice that I have the ability to assign the activity to students manually. I can check that, and what that allows me to do is, surprisingly, assign activities to students manually. What that looks like is, we're going to enable all the activities. I have these two activities set to assign manually, and that is why I see this view activity access. Now, when I set them to view add manually, the students don't see these until they're added to them. So they will see nothing about this activity unless it's been assigned to them. When I edit student access, I can come up and add students or remove them from here. It is going to only show me students that are within my class. It filters out everybody else and who is enrolled. I can add students. Maybe I'll give half the class access to this activity and save. And then I'll go down to the other activity and give other students access to the Linux lab. Give the first 4 access to that. Now, Jane's student has been assigned the first activity, but not the second activity. I'm going to save. You can also come back in here and edit these by just opening it again and editing the students. So Jane's students should see the Windows 10 client lab, not see the Kali Linux client lab, but she'll also see all of the Windows 10. Let's take a look at her view of this. And so she has the Windows 10 clients, but she has a Windows 10 all participants, but she does not have the Kali Linux lab. And they will not see it at all unless it is enabled for them. And you can use this in conjunction with the disabled feature so that you can disable it even though it's been assigned to them. So that should pop up in a second. Or I'll refresh and it'll pop up, I hope. There it goes. So it shows us disabled, even though that's and while it's also an assigned event activity. Okay. Let's go back to creating our course. We have a SCORM. Let's add a lab. These are labs that are created in Lab on Demand, and they're synced over for us to be able to use within a course. Labs have an additional field here to allow retakes. By default, it's checked. We added this for our exam labs so that if the student has completed that lab, they cannot retake it again because it's an exam and you may not want them to be able to retake it. Adding video, adding a document, or adding an external link, all of these are external links. They just have different, and the whole activity field is the same. The only thing different about each one of them is the add video has a video icon, the add document has a document icon, and the external link has 2 linked chains as that icon. And you can input a name for it. You'll add a URL. You can add a description in here. You can say how long this is, 5 minutes. You can choose to require it for course completion, add which ones they are. And if you are doing YouTube, it does not like the space on the end there, so I remove it. You'll want to choose open a new window because it will not open if you do not. And you have all the other options available still. If I add an assessment, assessments are also items that you create within the TMS. These are multiple choice questions, and they can have a single correct answer or multiple correct answers. And they also have the ability for you to add a answer and explain why the answer is correct, and also have the ability to have a website added so that you can give the user more information to research that item. So I'll select an assessment, and this has an additional item that allows not only retakes, but allow review. And on an assessment, that allows, you can choose whether or not they can go back and see what their answers were, and whether or not, and be able to check into them to go back and look at it again. So on this one, my student scored a 40, and I allow a retake and I allow review. If I go in and review this, my student can see that this was an incorrect answer that's underlined in red. They can see the check marks for the answers they gave, and they can see all of the correct answers are underlined in green and are bold. Then we have the correct answer reasoning written out below the question and answers. And they also have a link over to further resources on talking about what that color theory is about in this case. So they have, if you allow review, they'll be able to come back in and see all of that. And you can choose whether or not they can retake it or not. What are we doing next? Oh, LTI link. LTIs are, I do not remember what it stands for. What they allow you to do is to have a secure connection over to a third-party website, and they can, then the student just has that piece as an activity, and it seamlessly just pops up for them as an activity they're taking within their course. And you'll have to go in and create an LTI resource before you can add it into your course. And this doesn't have anything new in it from the last. And add a Microsoft Learn activity. Microsoft has made available a bunch of documents that are available for you to use and add into your courses. And they are external links over to a website that they have all of this information within. So those are available to everyone to use. Now, let's go ahead and hit, well, not even, I'm going to add a section. And when you add a section, it adds basically a header into whatever part of the activities that you want to use. So I'm going to just call this additional resources. And you can see that the section here has all the links, except for an add section. It has all the links in here for you to add directly into the section. If you don't put anything into this section with the header, it will not show on your course or as an activity. Once you do add something, it will start to show in here, and you can add them directly here like we just did up here, or you can move things around. And you can move activities several ways. One is using this bullet-like icon. And once I click on that, I have the ability to move it to within a section. That's the only way you can move something from outside of section into a section. Or I could move it up higher in the into the activities as I wanted to. I'm going to move it down here, and now it shows as the first activity within that section. Other ways that you can move things outside of sections is to use the arrows to move an item up or down. You can also just change the number. And when you change the number, it's going to jump up to its new spot based on the number you put it in as. Those are ways to move around your activities once you have them in place. Okay. Let's go ahead and save this. And here you can create a course or create a course assignment. Once you have gone out and scheduled this training for use, it is going to be locked down. And when you go back to edit the course, you're going to have very limited access on things that you can change. And this is actually going to be opened up quite a bit in a couple of months, and we should have everything open except for things that are going to affect billing, which is several pretty limited fields like adding a lab or removing a lab or maybe a couple other things, but you'll have most things open. In order to, if you do have a class that you're using and or a course that you're using and you need to change things like the activities in it, especially the lab activities, what you'll need to do is hit the Save As link down here, and this clones the course for you. And once you rename it or just hit Save As with the copy in there, that's going to rename my course. And it's going to open up for me to edit the new course. I already have all of the same things in place that were in place on my first course, and I can make changes to it. For instance, I can put in that this is V4 and anything else I want to do. That allows you to go in and make updates to your activities and to schedule this out for anything in the future. If you do need to change it for something that was already scheduled with the other course, it's fine. You can change the course as long as the class hasn't started. If the class has started or a course assignment was created, you'll need to contact the help desk in order to make changes on those. Let's go over and look at our other tabs that are available for us to use. And we've looked at activities, we've looked at availability with the publishing groups. Prerequisites allow you to require a different course to be completed before a user can take this course. So if I go out and choose my other course that has to be completed before this, I am given a status requirement and a blocked action. So I can require that the student is enrolled in the Did You Know demo, or has started it, completed it, or has completed it or been given credit for it. You can credit somebody for a prerequisite on their user profile. So I can choose what they must do before for the prerequisite to be met. And I can also choose what's blocked. Until they've started it, they cannot be enrolled, or they cannot launch the activities within creating a course. So you can make those choices if you want to have prerequisites. Tags allow you to do things like have a way to look up information from Find Courses by inputting tags on courses. They also allow you to create these filters in a course catalog or in a subscription, and then assign which items will filter. So for instance, products becomes a category type up here, like availability is, and then anything that is tagged to be a Q420 2020 event or course would then be showing on this list. So after tagging, we have completion certificates. You can upload a template for a completion certificate and then add it directly to a course. And when the course is then used for a class or a course assignment, that completion certificate is automatically added. And it can be changed on the class directly. And then if students have completed the course or the class or the course assignment, they can then print their own certificates based on that from the transcript. Subscription profiles, you can add the course here to the subscription profile that you choose if you know it, or you can go to the subscription and add the course. But if you're creating a new course and you know it needs to go in a subscription, then this is an easy place to add it. Presenters allow users to be added as onto a course, and they'll show here as a presenter. They will show on the class, they'll show on the course assignment, and in an enrollment as well. The way that you do that is on the presenter profile or the user profile. When you go into the user profile, you have to click on this has bio link. When you do that, it automatically immediately shows you this bio tab, and then you can input information, and obviously it shows the image and then any of the information that you've input. And that's really helpful for self-paced training so that people know a little bit about their user or for webinars and that kind of thing. The advanced tab has a few things. For instance, you have an organization calendar, and you could choose to have different colors for different courses that you're running. So it shows on your calendar in different colors. You can input an external ID. So if you have a ID that is associated with a course that you're offering that is internal to your organization, and you want to be able to track it with the course in the TMS, you can input it here and use it. Surveys, we have the ability to add, create surveys within the TMS, and they have multiple types of questions that you can add for a survey, like fill in the blank, multiple choice, also a essay field, I can think of the word, essay field, and they have matrix type questions and answers that have rows and different items on there. And you can add surveys here to the course, and then if they are here on the course, they'll be added directly into a class that is created by them. And you can choose which ones you want to have in there. And they can be changed directly on the class as well. Allowing class self-enrollment inputs, when you enable it on the course, a class that is based on this course will automatically allow self-enrollment for people who have a self-enrollment role already. So it doesn't open it up for everyone, but if you do have that checked, it is going to make it available for every class you create from this course. Allowing self-paced self-assignment would allow anybody with a self-assignment role to be able to open a course and create their own course assignment from it. And you can also have a requirement that any self-assignment is only allowed within a subscription. We also have another one down here outside of the allow self-paced self-assignment, which is the course assignment can only be used within a valid subscription. So they would have to be within a subscription. It can't just be assigned as a course assignment directly. Allowing recordings actually does something fun. So when you have a virtual class, either Adobe Connect or Zoom, which are integrated and allow us to create recordings into the classes and enable them to be seen on enrollments, you can set how many days that is available post-class. And then we also have this allow supplemental recording access. And if you have that enabled, normally what it'll show is just this name of the recording, when it was done, how long it is, and then the link over here to watch it. If you have the supplemental recording access added, then you're going to have the ability to add availability to enrolled students, to anyone in your organization, to any authenticated user, or even make it public. You also have the ability to add specific users to be able to view the recordings, or you can add users by roles. For instance, you may make it available to all your instructors for them to watch the recordings. And if you've done this, then I have made the recording available to my manager. I'm going to go to the transcript, and right down here, she has ability to open up that recording and listen to it, even though she wasn't in the class. And the last one is to allow anonymous access to course details page. If you enable this, then you can pass out this link to the course profile, and people can access it without having to log in. That is what I wanted to talk about today about creating a course.